All right. Know what it is? Know who it is? We're back. The Thanksgiving special. We got Jake in the house again. It's definitely the co-host for this show. The Fight Cast. We got a lot of stuff to talk about, especially for UFC. There was a lot of stuff that happened in the past week that kind of didn't change anything, but there's a lot of really cool news and a lot of cool stuff coming out about the future, and then a couple last couple weeks that we're looking a little bit bare in the UFC, bare of any good fights. They filled that up with some really cool stuff. So props to Dana White, and then got some cool stuff. We got the Tyson Jones Jr. fight, which have some thoughts myself. Jake will talk about a little bit as well. Then a couple other fights that we're going to go over. But yeah, so just diving into the UFC this past weekend, we had Figueiredo versus Perez. That was the big fight. First round submission, guillotine, under 2 minutes. Perez went for a takedown, and he ended up missing or fucking up. And Figueiredo is not a guy that you want to do that to. And he missed. He got out of the way, got Perez into a guillotine, and then the rest was history. That was he's now being looked at as, I guess he was. The story on him was he was a baker and a janitor before this, and now he's obviously a UFC champion. So he's got a really cool story. There's a lot of that underdog story here. Even cooler story is he's already got another fight booked for 2 weeks. So
fighting in 2 weeks.
Fighting in 2 weeks.
Nice.
So he had the fight this past weekend, which he won first round under 2 minutes submission. And he's got another title defense on December 12th, which we'll get to, because they had a nice little, like I said, a nice little end to this year for UFC. It's cool to see. Next fight, Shevchenko versus Maia. Shevchenko is a fucking savage, but Maia controlled the fight, the early part of the fight, which wasn't really expected, because she came out and she did really well. She controlled Shevchenko, and then Shevchenko caught her, and I think it was the second or third round, she caught her with a shot and got her down to the ground and just basically controlled the rest of the fight. I think it was solid 8 minutes she was on the ground with her, that she had her just controlled on the ground. And Maia, couldn't really do much, because Shevchenko's just she's an elite grappler, she's an elite puncher, and once she got her spot in there, it was just really hard to kind of, Maia basically emptied what she had in terms of skill and little tricks, and it just wasn't enough. And Shevchenko controlled the rest of the fight, and then she did what champions do. It was just she turned it on when she had to, and she won. And it's just that's what you expect to see. She's now the number 2 pound for pound fighter in women's UFC. So number 1 is Amanda Nunes. I think they already fought. I think she lost, but I'm assuming that's going to be the next fight, or at least what they're going to look to do. I don't know if they're in the same division, but I'm pretty sure, almost positive they fought before. I should have looked that up, but I didn't. But yeah, she's number 2. Nunez is number 1, but it was a good fight. The third fight, Tim Means and Mike Perry. Did you see that at all?
Well, I saw Mike Perry didn't make weight.
That was a shit show. He missed weight. He didn't just miss weight. He missed weight by 5 pounds.
Wow.
So he was not even close. Then he got his ass kicked, and then he lost. So essentially, he didn't make weight, and he had to give up 30% of his purse. And then he didn't get the winner's check because he lost. So essentially, he gave this guy 70% extra money because he won and he had to give him his purse. It's just ridiculous. If you're a fighter, you can't I understand half pound type thing, and I've never been in that situation, so I've seen it enough times that I know it's probably hard. But to be a professional, you can't. That's a lot. 5 pounds is you didn't even try.
Yeah. Yeah. That's what I was gonna say. It's did you even try to get that?
Yeah, and he was making it as if he doesn't fit in that weight class anymore, and it was too hard and whatnot. But a guy like Paul Felder lost 22 pounds in 4 days, and you're telling me you can't lose 5?
Yeah.
it's one of those things that's, kind of ridiculous. And like there was some other stuff that came out after the fight that Tim Means was saying that Mike Perry was sending. I don't know if this was true, and I don't remember where I saw it. He was sending Tim Means Snapchats of him eating cheeseburgers and like drinking beer before the fight. So it's just
God.
like just not looking good. Just like, and
He's
like I
just
said,
he's
other
a
than,
clown, bro. He's
yeah,
a clown. Who does that?
and I don't know what he has left on the UFC, but I also saw something that he might not get another fight in the UFC, or at least like thanking the UFC for everything. But I don't know, like that was just like a shit show performance. It's not something you want to see from a fighter like that who's got a name and like who's recognizable. It's just it's embarrassing because that guy worked hard. The other guy worked really hard, and
Yeah.
he won. He deservedly. I'm glad he won because like after hearing all that, you don't want that type of stuff um, awarded to like
Yeah.
get a win after you're 5 pounds over, you're eating cheeseburgers, like you're just being a dick. So it's
Yeah, dude. That dude.
those are the three main fights. I think I predicted Mike Perry. Unfortunately, yeah, that was before I knew. I think we did that fight early in the week before I knew he missed weight. Otherwise, I definitely would have changed my decision because as soon as I saw he missed weight, I was like, oh, he's gonna lose. Like, there's no way
Yeah.
you're that far over, and you don't lose. Um, but yeah, so 2 for 3, probably would have been 3 for 3 if we'd done it later in the week. But like I said, Figueiredo, he's got another fight December 12th, which we'll get to in a second, which is pretty impressive because there's been 3 or 4 guys in the past month or two that have had like really quick turnarounds with their fights. Like within
Yeah.
2 weeks, they're back into another fight. Or like, this guy I'm going to talk about in a minute, Hamza Kamaev, he fought twice in 10 days and then 4 times in like a couple months or something like that. And he knocked out every guy that he fought. And he's just like coming out of nowhere. So this weekend we have Curtis Blaydes versus Derek Lewis, the gorilla. Lewis is you've heard of him, right? Have you ever heard of him?
Yeah. I've seen him fight a couple times. He's a
Yeah.
monster. Yeah.
He's just a brawler, just like a puncher. He's got funny interviews. He's just like a character. I saw a video the other day. He fell asleep during an interview, like straight up just knocked out cold. In an
Bro,
interview.
listen, honestly, that dude Derek Lewis looks like every time he throws a big shot and misses, he's gonna
Yeah.
fall. He
Yeah.
looks like he's gonna fall asleep after every fucking punch.
He's a fun guy
And
to watch.
listen, when he misses those big shots, it looks like it takes a lot out of him,
Well,
dude.
I guess I was just looking at some stats before this, and he's got like one of the lower like punching rates in the UFC. I think he's got like 2 significant strikes per minute or something like
My
that.
God,
So like
what?
he's just throwing haymakers and he's just hoping he hits. It's embarrassing.
Yeah.
So Lewis is like a knockout guy. He's not very technical at all. He's just like a haymaker. He's a really good story. He's a great interview. But kind of going into Curtis Blaydes, the guy he's fighting. Blaydes has 2 losses in his career, and they're both to Francis Ngannou. Do you know who Francis Ngannou is?
Yeah. Yep.
He's like he's just a brick
Yeah.
house. And he's just one of those guys who you get touched the wrong way and you're getting knocked out, unfortunately.
Yeah.
Blaydes is a really good grappler. He's not as good on his feet, but he's good enough on his feet. But I say that because Lewis has had a couple of his last fights where he was kind of like counted out against like these grappling types or these. He actually submitted somebody, I think, and he's a blue belt, and he submitted someone who was like a purple belt, or it was, I forgot the exact like who he submitted or who he went against, but I think he submitted somebody, and then he went against Alexei Olenek, who was like like his game is grappling, and he like did pretty well on the ground with him, which is surprising. So like he's been counted out a couple times, and Derek Lewis is the underdog here, like a pretty significant underdog. I think he's like -300 or +300 here. But Blaydes is like a top level fighter. He's like I said, his only losses are to Francis Ngannou. So I don't see him losing this fight. It's one of those where like Derek Lewis has been counted out. You know what I mean? Whereas
Yeah.
like all he needs is one punch. He's shown that. And when he gets that one punch, he if he lands it, he wins. But like I said, I think Blaydes is a step above these other guys that he went against, like Olenek, for example, who was like supposed to be a grappler and didn't really do well.
Any relation to Kelly Olynyk?
No, I don't think so. I hope not. But My prediction for this is Blaydes is going to submit him in the second round. I like Derek Lewis, but I don't think he's going to win. Second fight that night that's of interest to me, I guess, is Anthony Smith versus Devin Clark. Smith is a good fighter. I always like watching him. He's like a tough, scrappy guy. He's a pretty good puncher. He's a very good grappler. I think of his wins, I don't know. I think he has 18 wins. He's got 12 submissions. And when he was coming up, he knocked out some people like Rashad Evans and Shogun Ruao. So he's got some big names under his belt. His last 4 fights, he's only been 1-3, but they were against some like top talent. Like he lost to John Jones. He fought Alexander Gustafsson and he won. He lost to Glover Teixeira, who a couple weeks ago beat Santos, and then he lost to Alexander Rakic, which probably wasn't a fight he should have lost. But this one I see Smith winning via knockout, probably. I'd say like second round knockout. And getting into the cool stuff, like kind of the stuff moving forward. So kind of recap: Blaydes via sub, I say second round, and then Smith with a knockout. I would not be surprised if Lewis won though somehow. I would not be surprised if Derek Lewis won that fight in some
landed one of those big shots.
Yeah, just some crazy way. Because like I said, I saw that dude get mauled, and then he came up and just hit the guy once, and he won the fight. Like he got knocked down, destroyed, and then just like connected with the right hand, and that was it, and he won. And then Oleinik was one of those guys again who was, like supposed to win, and then Lewis caught him, and that's it, and he slept him. And like you don't see that with people like that. So I would not be surprised, but I'm going to go with Blaydes. Because I think, the winner of this fight is probably going to be someone who steps up for the belt after Stipe Miocic probably fights Ngannou next. And then John Jones is going to be in the mix somewhere there. So, that'll probably be one of these two guys who steps up after that. So to kind of move forward, so like I said, Figueiredo, UFC 256 coming up in 2 weeks. I believe it's December 12th. He's fighting again against Moreno. And again, title defense, which is just cool in general after 2 weeks. So I think he's going to win that again. And then they just filled in the co-main with Tony Ferguson and Oliveira. And that's going to be a good fight. I honestly think Ferguson might lose that fight. And the thing with Tony Ferguson recently was he was in a bout or like mental or verbal bout with Michael Chandler, who, shout out to Nashville. He's a Nashville native, Michael Chandler, but Michael Chandler just came from Bellator, and he was a Bellator champion, and he's been looking for a UFC fight, and him and Ferguson have gone back and forth, and Chandler's been getting ready for the last 2 UFC main events by training in case there's been like any COVID stuff. So they've been having like backups train essentially, so that if they need to step in, they could just step in. And he's been there for the last 2, I think, and he's just kind of like sick of cutting weight. So he said no to Tony Ferguson. So they put Tony Ferguson in against Oliveira, and that's not an easy fight. And Ferguson's coming off of fucking mauling from Gaethje. That was his last fight when he got absolutely destroyed. Yeah. So, this is going to be a big fight for Ferguson, because I think if he loses this, he's done in title contention, at least for a little bit. And maybe forever, because, he's not young. So I really think this is a must win for him. And it's a fight that he could lose, but we can go over that more obviously in the coming weeks. And then UFC Fight Night, which is free. This whole card is free, which is insane. December 19th, we got Khamzat Chimaev versus Leon Edwards, which is, Leon Edwards is someone who there's been like speculation back and forth of, him not wanting to fight, but like he's essentially a ranked fighter who's been inactive for so long that they took him off the rankings. So he's a good fighter, but they haven't they took him off. And Chimaev, like this upcoming guy who's just coming out of nowhere essentially. And he's had like 3 fights this year, and he's knocked out all of the guys, I think, or he might have had 1 submission. In his last fight, which was about a month ago, I think, or a month and a half ago, he literally threw 1 punch and won the fight.
Wow.
He just knocked the guy out with 1 punch. That was it. So he hasn't had like a lot of run in the UFC, but he's had some pretty impressive wins. On top of that, there's Stephen Thompson, aka Wonder Boy. He's fighting Neil, and then Jose Aldo versus Marlon Vera, and that's kind of like a cool fight because Marlon Vera is considered like the new age Jose Aldo. And Jose
Okay.
Aldo is kind of like, he's run his course. He's towards the end of his career. So this could be like a stepping stone for Vera to be like almost like a passing of the guard type thing. Um, but I think that should be a good fight as well. And then Greg Hardy's on the card. So there's going to be a lot of stuff. And then obviously as well this week, Conor versus Poirier. Conor McGregor versus Dustin Poirier is official. About to see my boy Conor come back and hopefully whoop that ass. So we'll see what happens. I think it's going to be a good fight, but I think Conor's going to win. But again, time comes. All right. Into the boxing, into the cool stuff. We got a cool fight this weekend. Kind of. There's been some updates on the actual fight. I don't know if you've seen them.
Yeah.
And
I think it's
kind of
all
like,
trash. No,
it's
I
kind of
wouldn't
going to,
like the rules they have for the bout. Throw them fucking things out the window.
yeah. I hope, I don't know how well they're going to enforce them. I'm hoping they give some leeway, but like, so
Bro,
if you
what
guys
ref
haven't
is
seen,
if Tyson starts beating this, like what ref's gonna get in there and pull Mike Tyson up? I mean, come
hopefully
on,
it's like WWE and he just like decks the ref and just keeps going.
bro.
I
It's a
remember,
fight,
I remember
man.
in the WWE video game when you could just like toss the ref out of the ring and
Yeah,
just do whatever the fuck you want.
Dude, Tyson's done it before. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? I don't see what's stopping him from doing it again.
Yeah. But yeah, so I don't know. I guess these were the rules all along. I don't know if they were, I didn't see them. I don't know if they just like updated them as of recent. But no knockouts. If there's any cuts, they're stopping the fight.
Yeah.
You can't essentially throw any like knockout punches. Like it's essentially just like a soft spar they're going to be going with.
Well, yeah, it's a glorified sparring match, but I've been in the ring enough to see sparring matches go awry.
Yeah.
I've seen dudes get fucked up in sparring, so they can go ahead and call it a glorified sparring match, exhibition, whatever. If these dudes want to fuck each other up, they're gonna fuck each other up.
And I think that's what's going to happen. I think that they're giving the expectation of we're trying to keep them safe, and then it's going to be like, oh, well, it happened. Like you can't.
Which is totally understandable. They're in the 50s. I get it. It's understandable, but it's up to them.
Yeah, they chose to do this. Like they
Right.
chose to make this fight. They chose to hype it up like this, and like,
Bro, fighters fight.
I don't think you can stop. I don't know how you're going to control like in the heat of the moment a Tyson hook. Like whether he's throwing that thing soft or hard, I guarantee we'd knock out.
I know, what's he gonna do? What's he gonna do? Say he throws one and like to the body and Jones like blocks it, right? And then what's the ref gonna do? Like, whoa, buddy, that's a little too much. You know what I mean? What the fuck's he gonna do?
Yeah,
whoa, Mike, slow it down.
Yeah, like don't
hit so hard. Man, that shit ain't gonna fly. You think people are fucking paying to see the ref? Like, hey, Mike, whoa, slow down.
That's my question. Is like they hyped this fight up for months.
Yeah,
almost like what, 5 months, and then the week
since
before they're like,
August.
"Oh, just to let you guys know, there's no knockouts," and it's like, all right, like why didn't you say that before? Like everyone bought it because it's $50 fight, which isn't cheap, but like and again, the way they fucking put out the card is just nonsense. Like they again with the Jake Paul Nate Robinson thing, like they put Jake Paul over Badu on the card, and like he's a legit fighter, and they put him under a fucking YouTube star for a card.
Yeah, a former title holder is fighting underneath fucking asshole. I mean, come on, man.
And like it's just like you're trying to sell this fight, and then you pull all these things out, and like people are pissed because like first off, Jake Paul's on the card, which is the first problem, and then the second problem was like he's above Badu, and then they introduced this whole like they basically went over like the Tyson can't knock anyone out, Roy Jones Jr. can't knock anyone out, they can't cut each other, they can't like, and it's just like, all right, well then what am I actually paying for, and like what is this actually going to be?
Right.
I don't know. Like
I'm gonna go ahead. Like I'll get into my prediction in a few minutes here, but I'm gonna go ahead and say it's gonna be a real fight.
I think, and like I said, I
don't think there's a fucking thing anyone could do about it.
I don't think they're gonna. I mean, the like, I think if they do, I think there's gonna be because imagine this. Imagine a scenario where, like you said, Tyson throws a punch that's too hard, quote unquote too hard. Because right now, when was the last time any of these guys got clipped? Like when was the last time They got
Man,
hit.
Roy Jones just got knocked out a few years ago.
Did he? So
Yeah.
like, okay, so like a few years ago is what I'm saying though. But
Yeah.
like, a few years ago in some age, and then like a Tyson punch, regardless of how hard he's throwing it, you're gonna feel it. Even if
Yeah,
he's
the last time Roy Jones got knocked out, he got knocked out by some fucking FedEx driver.
okay, so there you go.
Yeah.
So, so like, Mike Tyson isn't your average FedEx driver. Well,
Right, right.
if he's gonna be one of those, like, if you clip him the wrong way, he's gonna get hit. And like
He's like a FedEx manager.
yeah, exactly. He's a loading dock manager.
Yeah. My
But
man, he works upstairs.
he but again, like, how are you, like, are you telling them, like, limit, like, I just don't understand how you're supposed to.
Yeah, it's not gonna happen. Because again, like, how ridiculous is it gonna look? Like, people are paying for this, and then the ref stops and like, hey man, let me warn you, you're throwing punches too hard. And
But that's what I mean is, like, imagine a, like, bad first round stoppage of, like, Tyson, like, Dex Jones Jr. Like, doesn't get knocked out, but it's like, oh, it's too hard, fight's over.
Yeah.
Like, how much, like, like, I'd be pissed if I paid for that fight and then, like, it's up for 6 months of, like, previews and promotion, and then, like, it gets stopped in the first round because a punch was too hard.
Well, listen, here's the thing though. It's under this Tyson's like League of Legends thing. So I would imagine that Tyson and his team have some say over how strict these rules are.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I mean, I would imagine that whatever agreement the two fighters had behind closed doors, like they're probably going to keep to that. Not necessarily this set of rules, but what the fighters agree to. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And if the fighters, both, like, the way they're talking, it's like, hey man, it's when you get in there, it's a fight. I mean, dude, these are two of the greatest boxers that ever lived.
Yeah.
So I would imagine when they got together, it's like, fuck, man, we're gonna fight. I don't give a fuck how old I am.
Yeah.
So I would imagine that the rules are in place as sort of, hey, look, man, we tried. We don't want them to get hurt. But the actual enforced rules are going to be closer to what the fighters agreed to. That's what I think.
I'm assuming, and like you said, I think that, like, that's going to be more of like a thing that they come to agreement on. Like, it's not just going to, because again, you can't go out of your way for this, and then, especially with the card they made, like, it's not like this is, there's other things that you're looking forward to on this, because, like, no one wants to watch Jake Paul, and that's just going to be, like, right now that's looking like, a highlight of the card if this Tyson fight actually, like, comes to fruit, like, and it has to be played in the way that they're playing it, which sucks, because, like, I don't want to pay $50 to watch Jake Paul. Like, I think that it needs to be,
unless Jake Paul trips on the way into the ring and, like, breaks his neck on the stairs leading up to the ring and dies right there, I'm not paying $50 to see Jake Paul at all. The only $50 I'm paying for is to see Jake Paul's corpse. You know what I mean? That's what I'm paying $50 for. See his stupid limp neck fucking corpse laying on the side of the ring, didn't even make it in. That's worth $50 to me.
Yeah, I mean, I've being on social media, I've seen a lot about the fight, but, like, a lot of it, and that's what's bothering me too, is, like, a lot of it's about him. Like, a lot of this is about, like, him being on this card, him fighting Nate Robinson, just him in general, because he's obviously more active on social media, and, like,
what a fucked up world we live in, man.
Yeah,
so fucking crazy.
But yeah, and then, like I said, when I saw that he was above Badu on the card, I was like, okay, like, this is a problem. Like, this is an actual, like, boxer that's being put third tier to Jake Paul. But, and like I said, I'm just hoping this doesn't turn out to be, because I think this is a cool idea. And I think this is a really good thing for boxing, to have Tyson come back and have, like, Roy Jones Jr. come back, two huge names who want to fight. And like I've been seeing them train, and, like, Roy Jones Jr. looks a little bit old, like, he looks his age, but, like, he's moving well, and, like, when you see them hit the mitts, it's different. Like, when you see them train, it's different. Like, they're
right, man. Look at it. The average 51-year-old doesn't move like Roy Jones.
Yeah.
Obviously, you know what I mean. Like he's like one of those athletes that was cut from a different cloth. They don't like they're not made like him. You know what
Yeah.
I mean?
Yeah. And like, I think that I overall think they're more than capable themselves of handling a fight and knowing, you know, I'm sure they came to agree, like, don't try to kill each other. Like, but maybe, I don't know, like, I think that's easier said than done, obviously, because you're in the heat of the moment. And like, Tyson, when was the last time he stepped in the ring? Like he could, I don't think he's going to lose it. I don't think he's going to go crazy, but like, it's just like, all it takes is one like nice smooth punch from him, and like you're going to the hospital.
I'll tell you what, Tyson's got that thing in him that he's always had, that thing that makes him want to. He has a desire to hurt other grown men, and I don't think that ever leaves you.
Yeah.
Coming from, I have a little bit of that,
Mhm.
and I'm older and I have kids and a family, so it's not like controlling me,
Mhm.
but it's still there. And I've come to realize that I don't. And seeing Tyson in these interviews now, he's 54 or 55, just turned 55. I just don't. I don't think that ever goes away, man. So,
Control it better. Like it's just one of those things.
yeah, yeah, yeah. But now, like he talked about it on Joe Rogan's podcast, talking about like the ego. Like I started working out again, and my ego is like now I want to destroy. I'm
Mhm.
a conqueror now, and I don't. They like Roy Jones was never that guy. Roy Jones was just like, I'm a superior athlete. My skills are better than everyone else's, and I'm here to put on a show. Whereas, Tyson's always been that guy. Like, I'm just here to crack skulls, and then
Mhm.
I'm out. And so I think that mentality going in is going to benefit Tyson, obviously.
Yeah. I think I honestly like. I really think this has a lot of potential. I think it's like I said, it's a really good idea. It's two good names. Like I don't know if there's any better names that you could have picked in terms of like getting a fight like this. Like obviously Tyson, and then Roy Jones Jr. is just one of those guys that I think a lot of people know. And
Yeah,
just
yeah. I mean, for people from the '90s that grew up in the '90s, I mean, like Roy Jones is pretty much everyone's favorite fighter.
yeah,
You know what I mean? Like at least where I'm from,
yeah,
all the fighters that I grew up around, like Roy Jones is their favorite. So, um, yeah, I mean it's like the biggest name the two biggest names you can get in this situation.
yeah. All right, breaking it down a little bit further. Now that we got all the nonsense out of the way.
First, first though, last week I made a prediction on Connor Ben.
Oh yeah, what happened?
So Connor Ben, my prediction was right. He won a decision. But it was very interesting. One, that dude Sebastian Formella, I said he was trash,
Mhm.
and he is trash. Um, but that dude is tough as hell, man. Like
Yeah, clipped.
that dude, because Connor Ben is known for being a huge puncher,
Yeah.
and like that's just his style of fight is going in there and throwing a lot of haymakers. Um, but he didn't. Connor Ben looked really relaxed. Like it looks like he had just got out of a hot tub, bro. Like that, like he was so loose, and like his mobility, it was just it was obvious. Like he was like nothing was he didn't seem tense at all during the fight. He looked great. And just boxed the shit out of this dude Formella. Hit him with a lot of big shots, and dude Formella lasted the whole fight. Um, it ended up being a pretty good fight to watch. It was a pretty interesting fight to watch.
Cool.
So I got that prediction right. Conor
We're
Ben
three for
12 round
four.
decision.
We got to
Yeah,
go back. We got to see what our overall records are predicting.
yeah.
We're up
I
there.
know I've only gotten one wrong,
What was
and that
that?
was the Loma fight.
Yeah.
It's the only one I've gotten wrong.
All right. We're like
Uh,
we're probably plus 90%, 95%
yeah, I
over on the
mean,
fight cast.
probably. I know Vegas needs to start. We should start getting paid for this.
Maybe we can start doing Tennessee. In Tennessee, betting's legal, so I can bet over here. Maybe I'll
Yeah, yeah, yeah. We gotta start. We gotta make it happen, bro.
yeah, we'll start being like Colin Coward. He's got the Blaze in 5.
Yeah.
All
Well,
every week.
Coward sucks at
No, he
picking every. He sucks.
doesn't.
I mean, he's an interesting guy to listen to, but like when it comes to picks, he sucks,
I
dude.
know. I think he's been asked this year, but sometimes it's good. We could do the blazing fighting picks. I don't know. We could call it like our knockouts of the week.
Called the Blazing Saddles.
Yeah. The Brokeback
All
Blade.
right, all right. So yeah, Fred, let me start with the Daniel Jacobs fight first. So Daniel
Okay.
Jacobs is fighting Gabe Rosado on Friday. This I think is going to be a really, really interesting fight. So I went back and I was watching some Rosado tape. I actually watched just before this. I watched Willie Monroe and Gabe Rosado.
Mhm.
And Monroe, this is from a few years ago. Willie just boxed the shit out of this dude for 12 rounds. Um, but Rosado normally is um, one of these guys that likes to stand in the pocket and trade shots. He's a
Mhm.
very exciting fighter. Um, he's with Freddie Roach for this fight.
Okay.
So normally before this, before he got with Freddie Roach, I would say that Jacobs would just completely and utterly destroy Rosado
Mhm.
because I think his skill set is just on another level. Um, but Rosado being with Freddie Roach, I think it makes it a lot more interesting. I think Freddie is going to know how to use Rosado's aggressiveness better than he's ever used it. And Danny Jacobs does not, he's not one to shy away from a fight either. He'll stand there in the pocket and trade shots too. So I think that's going to make for a much more interesting fight. I still see, I think Danny Jacobs is going to win the fight by decision. Um, I could see a knockout just because again, I think a lot of power shots are going to be thrown in this fight. A lot. I think it's going to be one of these fights where like both these dudes are bloodied up a little bit. But I see more Jacobs boxing winning the fight for him. So I think Danny Jacobs uh, decision in that fight.
Cool. Yeah,
Uh,
I've seen Daniel Jacobs before. I think he fought Canelo, right?
yeah.
So,
He did not do well against Canelo,
yeah.
but normally Daniel Jacobs is one of the better middleweights out there. So he's good, man. And he beat cancer. He was out of the ring for a while a few years ago. Well, not more than a few years ago. I think he had bone cancer. Um, he beat it, came back, and he's doing his thing, man. So yeah, he's good. He's an exciting fighter to watch.
Cool.
Um, so yeah, the big one, Tyson and uh, and Roy. Um,
We're gonna predict. We want to predict all these fights, or we want to just stick with.
I mean, I don't like. I'm not touching those two idiots. Like, I don't.
All right, I'll stick with.
Again, like I could see that fight ending in a disqualification because they're both so unfamiliar
Yeah.
with
But they have
how
rules.
fights work. Yeah, I could see it ending in a disqualification, just as easily as them knocking each other out.
I think the worst
Honestly,
case.
I could see it like ending up in like some viral YouTube dumb shit where they both knock each other out.
I
That
could. I think worst case scenario here, and I think it's most likely going to happen, is Jake Paul wins handily and fast. I hope it doesn't happen. I think it's going to happen because I think he's been doing this a little bit longer than Nate Robinson,
yeah.
and I don't think Nate Robinson's been doing it long enough. I don't know specifically if he's been doing it long enough. I know Jake Paul's been doing it for the last few years, and I think it's going to be worst case scenario because it's just going to lead to more of this. And I think that what were you gonna say?
Yeah, you know what? I am gonna give a little bit of a prediction now. So because you made me think, right? Okay, Jake Paul does have a little bit more experience, and he's been around Ryan Garcia, and I'm sure he's been around that camp. Um, I I would say maybe he's been in the gym like while Canelo was there. I
Mhm.
don't imagine Canelo really giving him the time of day.
was like, what the fuck?
Since Canelo has been a pro fighter since he was 15.
Yeah.
So I don't think he's got time for any of that bullshit.
Yeah.
But some of that may come into play. Just being around Ryan Garcia, sucking up knowledge from Canelo and Reynoso. But what it really comes down to, man, is the mentality, right? Like you last in the fight game, having it in your head that you're gonna fuck somebody up. You gotta, like I said it last week. Coming from a dark place is one of those things that helps fighters be great. You got to have something in some hatred and anger in there from something that happened. Like it's best to have a fucked up childhood to be a good fighter. Okay. And Jake Paul did not have that. So I'm going to go ahead and say, I have no idea what fucking Nate Robinson's backstory is, but I'm just going to go based off him being in the NBA and having like little man syndrome, that anger is going to win him the fight. Okay. So that's my prediction. My prediction is Nate Robinson is going to win by knockout because he's got some anger in him somewhere, and Jake Paul's some suburban white kid. So I'm picking the dude that's angry. He's going to win the fight.
That's interesting. I like that. Like I said,
skillfully, like when it comes to skill level, both of them are straight garbage.
Like I said, I think
hot poopy garbage. So I'm just going to pick the dude that's angrier.
I think, like I said, I think worst case, I think worst case scenario is Jake Paul wins handily, just because of, it's just going to get to his head, and like there's going to be more of like, is he actually good? Who can he actually fight? And there's going to be more. I hope Nate Robinson wins for the simple fact that it like shuts this up and like it never comes back again. But I don't know. I really think that it's going to be something, like I said, worst case scenario where Jake Paul wins like first round, second round KO or TKO. And I don't know. I hope not.
I mean, I could.
I want to trust you.
I would not be surprised if it went the other way and this guy knocked Nate Robinson out, because it just this is going to be more like a barroom brawl, like a street fight where guys are just throwing haymakers with really no rhyme or reason. Like there's no purpose to anything that they're doing. They're just throwing shots because they're dumb. Yeah. So I could see something landing. I definitely could see that, but I'm going to go with the guy that's got a little bit of anger in him. Yeah. You know what I mean?
All right. So you're going Nate Robinson.
I'm going Nate Robinson by knockout.
I trust with your Nate Robinson, but I do think Jake Paul is going to win. I hope. I will say my desire, my deepest hopes is that Nate Robinson wins, so this can be put to the side.
Yeah.
Like never be seen again, but I don't think it's going to happen. All right. Tyson, Roy Jones Jr., we talked about it, broke it down. What do we think is going to happen? Do we think he's going to bite a zero? Do we think he's
No. Which I mean, I wouldn't mind. I mean, I didn't, like, to be honest with you, when I saw the Holyfield fight, I was getting mad for Tyson watching Holyfield headbutt him over and over again. So when he bit his ear, I was like, good for him.
I was like, I don't even know how old I was when that happened. I was like, what the fuck?
Yeah. I mean, I was pissed off that it was even that close. Like back then, like I thought Tyson was just like, bro, this guy's going to knock everybody out. Yeah. But yeah, I mean, I didn't see a problem with it. Go ahead, bite his other ear off. I don't care. So I think, like I said earlier, that Tyson has the destroyer in him. Like he is the destroyer. He is the conqueror. And so I think that mentality ages better.
I was gonna say, I think
that like sort of like, again, Roy Jones is like the flashier dude. Let me showcase my skills. I don't think that ages well. And the styles, I don't think Roy's style of fighting, because I don't think, like, when you're 51, you don't have the legs anymore to be that flashy and hold your hands down like that. And he's shown Roy Jones has had some tough fights. He's up in his 40s. He's got knocked out by some bums. So if he's getting knocked out by bums and he can't get his head out of the way of these guys, I think it's all over for him. And again, Tyson's style, I think, ages well. That's better for a 55-year-old man. Basically, he's slipping, rolling, and using his legs and his body behind every single punch. I just think that ages better. And So I mean, honestly, I think Tyson is going to get him out of there early, man. Like in the first, like within 3 rounds, I think Tyson's going to knock him out.
Yeah, I was thinking the same thing. I think that Tyson has skills and um, his game is more quickness than it is anything. Where it's like this situational quickness, where like he's just a brute, but like he has those little moves that he does that like get him into certain spots when he was younger, and like I think that Roy Jones, it's the exact same thing. I don't think Roy Jones Jr. ages well in this type of fight because he those types of skills just don't normally, as in the words of Timothy Bradley, he ain't got no fast twitch muscle fibers. So, I don't think at this age he's gonna move, like you said, as well as he does. And like his skill, he might, if he is truly getting knocked out by bums, a Tyson right hook is not something to be, kept with lightly, whether it's to the head or the body. I don't, I think that Tyson, being he's going to want to get inside, and whether that actually works for like Roy Jones lefts him, or whether he has a choice or not, is going to be, different piece of the story. But I think that Tyson wins, and that's what I'm kind of like. That's what I said. I'm worried about the fight being ended in a bad way because Tyson is going to be so aggressive, and I think he's going to be that much better, and I think it's going to show. And like then it comes down to if it does go past, realistically, if it goes past 3 rounds, it's going to be like a cardio thing with that because are they really Mike Tyson? I don't. I
Well,
haven't.
they're only 2 minute rounds.
Oh, are
So
they?
that's what, yeah. So it's 8 rounds, 2 minutes. So I mean, I think even in their 50s, these guys are because that never goes away. I mean, like even like I hit the bag today for the first time in like 2-3 months,
Mhm.
and I did a good like a straight 15 minute, like 1 15-minute round before I started to like feel it. And that's all just like I'm not actively training.
Yeah,
I'm certainly not running.
yeah,
So the stamina isn't there, but there's just that muscle memory is there. Even the lungs, even though the muscle of your lungs has
yeah.
that memory. Like, okay, I remember what this breathing pattern is like. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
Um, so I think even in their 50s, like those guys will be at the last, 8 2-minute rounds if it comes to that.
Yeah, I didn't know it was that short, but yeah, and like
Yeah.
I think that. Yeah, I mean, it's basically the same thing here. I think that Tyson's going to win. I think that he's going to do it quick, and I think that I just hope it's by like an actual fight. It's not by some stupid ass fucking like always cut fights over type thing, or like like I really hope that doesn't end up happening.
I could see a TKO. You know what I mean? Like say Tyson rocks
Yeah.
and he doesn't go down, but it's looking like he's going to go down. So I could see, okay, for safety's sake, he's
Well, yeah,
boy,
I think that
51
they're
years
going
old.
to pull the
I could
trigger.
see a TKO,
Yeah.
but I'm basing my prediction. I'm acting like those bullshit ass rules don't even exist.
And
I'm not even gonna take those rules into account.
even if like say those rules are enforced, what does happen if an accident, like a knockout, is done accidentally? Does that mean the other person gets disqualified? Like, what is that?
Well, they're not going to announce a winner either way. But
Oh,
obviously, if Tyson puts him to sleep, you know what I mean, we're going to know who won.
yeah,
You know
yeah,
what I mean?
yeah.
So, it's
That's
not.
also stupid. I wish they were announcing a winner. I think that's
Yeah.
not a good way to do it. Like, I think that there needs to be, because I think,
I do honestly, like, I think that's kind of a waste of
yeah,
their time. Like, they spend all this time training.
especially for them. Yeah, I mean, I'd be pissed.
Yeah, so I think it's a waste of their time not to announce a winner, but whatever. Again, they already knew this going in. They agreed to all these rules, so if they're okay with it, fucking man, I'm okay. They're the ones doing the fighting. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's just kind of like like I said, it's kind of frustrating when you're as a fan, and like who cares really? It's just like you're paying for it anyways. It's a spectacle. It's something to watch, but like you're paying for a fight and then you don't get that. It's kind of like it's frustrating.
Right? Because what's gonna happen if they don't announce a winner, right? Like
Yeah.
then, like how do we argue?
Yeah.
How do fans argue with each other over who won the fight? You know what I mean?
You just be like, oh, well, I thought Roy
I'm
Jr.
pissed off because now I can't talk shit to someone who said the other guy was going to win.
Yeah.
That's what's going to be the worst part for fans. They're not going to be able to go on. So I mean, they're still going to find something to argue about.
Yeah.
Because a winner's not announced. They're not keeping score, right? They're like, no, man, fucking Roy Jones won, and they're going to base it off of nothing. The people are still going to argue, but the people are going to argue over the fact that they have nothing to argue about.
Yeah,
That's what's going to happen.
They'll make arguments. That's how.
Yeah. This is such bullshit.
Or they're
gonna taking away our rights and our freedoms.
This is the other thing. It's like, this is the other thing that bothers me, and it's indirect, but it just puts that much more emphasis on like Jake Paul, and I really hate it because he's going to be the last fight that they like decide, and he's going to be the last deciding winner, and then
it's almost like he is the main event.
Yeah, right? And it's almost like, you know, Tyson and Jones Jr. are there. It's like the fight was great, no decision. What about Jake Paul? What about that? What's next for Jake Paul? He actually, you know, he won. He fought a guy. It's like, who's next? And like they're gonna just keep pushing and pushing and pushing. And I don't know if you saw Logan Paul. What?
Idiot. Yeah, you know what would be perfect though? You ever see that that highlight or low light when Tyson Fury punching himself in the face during the fight? It'd be awesome if Jake Paul like went for an uppercut, like a really hard one, and like bounced off Nate Robson's guard and knocked himself out. Like that would be so perfect.
That'd be awesome.
That way, we would probably never hear from him again.
Oh, probably.
That would be great.
I'm just like I said, that's my biggest concern.
I hope someone, you know what I hope happens before Saturday? Someone fucking Jimmy Hoff is fucking Jake Paul. Yo, I hope that Jimmy Hoff of this fucking dude. We don't ever fucking like what happened. Jake Paul didn't show up for the fight. Well, I don't know. Man, we saw maybe he was meet this guy at this fucking gas station. I don't know. He left with the guy in the car and never saw him again.
Yeah.
What happened? And then 50 years from now, they make a fucking documentary about what happened to Jake Paul. He's supposed to fight. I don't know, man. People think he's buried under an In-N-Out. I don't know. Listen, ideal scenario. I'm just saying. I'm just throwing it out there.
That'd be awesome. But I don't know. I was gonna say I don't know if you saw Logan Paul. He's a fucking idiot too. But he's been calling out Floyd all week, and
he doesn't want that. He doesn't want that. He doesn't really want it.
He wants the money.
Like, of course, great payday, but he doesn't really want that.
No, of course he doesn't. He's annoying because like
I think Mayweather's daughter would fucking beat both of them. And the young one, the one that's like 7, I think she'd beat shit on both of them.
It's just getting out of hand because like these guys are like, I hate that Floyd responded too because he actually responded and he said something which is just like
but dude, that's what fighters do. It's you can't help yourself.
Yeah.
When someone throws out a challenge, a fighter's mentality is like, I gotta let him know. Like that's just how we deal with things.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's really hard to just like let it go because as a fighter, you're so used to facing every problem in front of you face to face.
Yeah.
Like that's how we solve problems. We go right at it. And so to not answer him, it like goes against everything a fighter has ever done. Like if it's like someone like Mayweather, everything he's ever done his entire career, not responding goes against all of that. So it's like you kind of have to. You gotta let him know. You gotta let him know.
I think Mayweather speaks enough for himself. Like, I think just saying the name Floyd Mayweather in boxing speaks enough for itself that you don't have to do something like that.
No, of course he doesn't have to. But again, as a fighter, it's really hard to bite your tongue when someone.
I'm just. And the other reason is like I'm hoping it doesn't lead to anything, that like this guy actually gets the opportunity to fight Floyd because listen, at least when Floyd fought Conor, there was at least he's a fighter. Conor has some background like in boxing, but like Conor is a top level fighter, if not the best fighter at the time in his sport.
Yeah.
That is a lot more realistic than some kid who just started boxing 3 years ago and just has a lot of followers and money so he can say stuff and get attention. Like that's just going to lead to, like I said, and I continue to say, it's going to lead to bad shit, and it's going to lead to people who are paying for just bad fights. And like this guy couldn't even beat the fucking British guy, KSI. Like he's not even a boxer. You're telling me he's going to go in there and talk his way into a Floyd fight? Like get the fuck out of here.
Yeah. I tell you what, man, if these guys are serious about it and they really want to call someone out, first of all, doesn't Logan Paul weigh like 50 more pounds than Mayweather?
Definitely. I mean, Logan Paul's he's not a
Like,
small dude. He's got to be at least 6 foot, maybe six.
yeah. Yeah, so yeah, I think I saw like the tail of the tape when he fought that British dude. Like he's 6'2", like 205 or some shit like that.
Yeah.
But I mean that wouldn't matter against Mayweather would fuck him up anyway. But I'm just saying you're that weight. Why don't you start calling out some of these bigger guys in boxing?
Yeah, no.
You want to do an exhibition? You want to test yourself? Go call out that dude Artur Beterbiev. If your fucking head doesn't come off your shoulders, right? Or that young kid fucking Berlinga that fought on the undercard of the fucking Loma.
Yeah.
Uh,
Well, that's the thing.
Call out one of those guys. Call out one of those guys.
It's like this is realistically, I still think he would get fucked up, but like this is a safe call for Logan Paul because like realistically, I don't know that Floyd could. I still think Floyd could knock him out, but like I don't think Floyd could damage him in a way that like
he probably wouldn't.
Yeah, and like
Mayweather, if Mayweather did somehow, if this miracle did occur, then Mayweather was like, yeah, let's do this. Mayweather is a smart enough businessman to know, like, let's put on a show.
Yeah.
Right? Let's let it go on a little while. And I'm just going to, again, I have a point to prove to this guy that he can't fuck with me. So I'm going to tag him up a little bit. I'm going to touch him up the whole fight, but I'm going to leave him intact.
Yeah.
That's exactly what Floyd Mayweather would do.
Yeah.
And again, Floyd's what, fucking 44 now, I think?
I don't know how old he is, but.
Yeah, so, I mean, I doubt that Floyd would even train. I know Floyd's still in the gym because that's just what he does. Like, he's always at the gym doing his work, but I don't think he would actually do any training, like specifically for the fight.
Yeah.
But again, I could see all he sees is the social reaction. Yeah. Like, if I call out Mayweather because he's a big name. No, bro, call out some of them Russian dudes. You know what I mean? Call out Beterbiev.
Well,
See if you don't literally get murdered, right? Because I think Beterbiev would actually kill him with a shot. So
and that's what I think. Like, that's why I think I think this needs to get shut down early. But the problem is like both of these guys are putting in, they're getting fights against bigger like people with names. And like, Nate Robinson is a name. He's not a boxer by any means, but it's like basketball players know him, NBA fans know him. Jake Paul is like a celebrity essentially, and like Logan Paul's the same thing. And like these guys are getting fights against names. And again, the people who are tuning into this don't know boxing or fighting, and they're like, oh, they're boxing. I want to see him fight against Floyd. I want to see him fight against Conor. Like, no, you first off, that's like you have to earn it. And second off, like you just said, go fight someone who's an actual boxer first, and then go talk about like fighting some of these guys. Because like if you put them against some dude in like, and I'll make the equivalent of like a Khabib. You find a Khabib in boxing, and put them against a guy like Jake Paul or Logan Paul.
Dude, that's Artur Beterbiev.
Yeah,
that's exactly who he is. Dude, he doesn't even bother. Like, now I don't want to make it sound like he's not a great boxer, because he is. He's a high ring IQ, but he's so imposing, so physically imposing that he basically just walks straight through everyone. Mm-hmm. He doesn't even bother cutting off the ring. He just stalks people around.
Yeah.
So he's a mauler. Like, that's what he does. He's got like incredible. First of all, incredible stamina. I've never seen the dude fucking like he's barely sweats in the ring. And I see him like in the first round and the 12th round, his punches are just as hard. Mm-hmm. And this guy like throws like he'll hit guys in the arms, and it looks like, oh my god, like I think he just broke his arm. Mm-hmm. Like, that's the type of power he carried. He's just a mauler. So that's the equivalent of like a Khabib. Yeah. They go call him out. See, and I really want this as a lifestyle.
And I meant for the simple fact is like Khabib's one of those dudes. Like if you asked him who Logan Paul was, he's like, oh, who the fuck is Logan Paul? Like he barely knows the guys he fights against who are top level in the like. If you put someone like that who like their life is training, their life is like, if you do not do this, you are a nobody. Like if you do this, like talking about the fucking Chinese Olympic, like if you don't do this, you're gonna get shot, like you're dead.
Yeah.
Like you don't bring home the gold, you're useless. And you put them against someone like Jake Paul, like, it's not gonna be fun to watch. It's gonna be a murder in the ring, and then.
Well, I mean, I would enjoy it very much, but
Well, yeah. I meant from like,
I would definitely pay for that. I pay
yeah, I
100.
guess, yeah.
I pay 100. I pay $5,000 to watch Artur Beterbiev
Where's
punch
Logan?
fucking
Paul?
both of them. I think you know what I think they should do. I think they should set up a fight where Beterbiev. Then, now, first of all, he would never do this because he's a guy that respects
Yeah.
fucking boxing. He would never lower himself. But I'm using him as an example. One, because he's a light heavyweight, so he's under 200 pounds. So he's big enough. It's near what their weight is. But I think they should set up a fight where they got Logan and Jake Paul in one corner, like one of them's just outside the corner. They let Beterbiev just kill the one brother, and then the other brother comes in immediately with no break, no bell, no run. You know what I mean? Beterbiev doesn't get to go back to his corner. Throw the next guy in there and let him fucking kill him too.
Just one round, just like one 15-minute round.
It'll be one constant round, like they used to do when boxing first started. It's just one long round until someone dies or quits. That's how they should do it.
That's awesome.
And then we killed two birds with one stone, or three birds.
Yeah,
right? We kill those two idiots,
yeah,
right? And the name, like their legacy or whatever it is gone. It's gone, right?
Exactly.
Get all done in one shot.
That would be a dream, but we'll see.
And then people that think they know boxing because they're following the Paul brothers get to see Artur Beterbiev and see what a guy who doesn't have a big name, but is a fucking killer. Yeah. Get to see a real boxer. It'd be great. It'd be tremendous. Yeah. That's what should happen.
We fixed it. We fixed the Paul brothers situation.
Yeah, let me say, I think I'm going to start promoting. That's what I should do.
Should. We should make
I'll get together some wild shit, man. It won't be based on any money. It'll be just based on fucking wow factor. Hey, man, you want to see someone's fist go like literally through someone's skull? Watch this. We're going to set up this fight. That's what would happen.
We'll set up tag team triple matches.
You know how Wilder was talking about how he had a dent in his skull from like you'll actually see it that like Artur Beterbiev will actually put a huge dent in one of their skulls. Like that's what would happen.
Oh my god.
Great. Oh, dude, it'd be great. Then they fucking write movies about it, like books about it. It'd be great.
The Death of Two Brothers.
Yeah.
Scripted by Jake Baird.
like it'd be subtitled like Logan and Jake Paul. Two guys that thought they wanted fucking smoke. Found out real fucking quick they didn't. It'd be like a really long title. They thought they wanted smoke, but found out real quick they didn't because now they're fucking dead.
We should make a short film of them like boxing and getting their asses kicked to get their attention, and then we can set a super fight with the Paul brothers and you and
see now, like I was saying, Beterbiev would never lower himself. Yeah. I was just picking a guy that's like their size. I'm smaller than both of them, but I'm like pretty certain that I'll put both of them to sleep real fucking quick. I'm fairly certain. And I'm talking about with no training. I'm talking about like if I wake up tomorrow morning and like put my sweatpants on and walk over to their backyard, I'm pretty sure that I'm fucking both up, like one after the other. Maybe both at the same time. I don't give a fuck. I'm pretty sure. So, I mean, maybe listen, maybe we don't have the power between us to get Artur Beterbiev in a ring with these two idiots, but maybe somehow we can get me in a ring with them.
I'm telling you, maybe we make a short film.
Just as good.
We'll get Mikey, and we'll have to find the tall. But we can dye Jerry's hair blonde. We'll get both of them, and we'll act like they're Jake Paul and Logan Paul, and then we'll just get them in a ring with you, and we'll fake the fight. We'll show dramatic effects, make a short 5-minute film of beginning to end, and then get their attention, and then we'll set up the fight.
Yeah, and we'll call. Look at these two fucking assholes.
Yeah, oh yeah, that's funny. All right, well, we had a lot to talk about there. Review. We got Blaydes Lewis picking Blaydes by submission. Smith Clark, Smith via knockout. got some stuff coming up in the next couple of weeks. We got Tyson. We're both picking Tyson fairly quick. We're both hoping that Jake Paul either goes missing or loses the fight, but we think that I think Jake Paul's gonna win. Any last minute? All right, Daniel Jacobs too. You
Yeah.
said Daniel Jacobs by decision.
Yep.
Any last minute things?
No, just that again. Like you were saying about the UFC in December. I think every week in December we have a huge fight in
Yeah,
boxing.
there's some big boxing matches coming
Yeah,
up.
really, really good end of the year.
I think Anthony Joshua's fighting in December.
Yep.
But I think there's a couple ones we were talking about, other ones, but I can't remember off the top of my head. But yeah, we got a lot to talk about.
Shakur Stevenson, Errol Spence. Yeah, I mean it's gonna be a good month.
Cool, Christmas time, right?
Yeah, man.
All right. Well, thank you guys for tuning in. If you guys have any thoughts, suggestions on the way we can get Jake Paul's attention so Jake can fight him, let us know.
Somebody tell that motherfucker to invite me over to his house so I can give him.
He's in LA too. I'm pretty sure. Jake
I'm drive right the fuck over there tomorrow.
I'll have to fly over if that happens.
I'll do. Listen. Once I put the turkey in the oven, I start cooking, and while it's in the oven, I'll go over there and fuck him up. Come back and finish my meal.
There we go. Happy Thanksgiving, pilgrims. So, thank you guys for tuning in. If you guys have any thoughts or predictions or suggestions, let us know. If you guys have anything you want us to talk about question-wise, shoot us a message, or any like topics or people you want us to discuss, or like fighters that you know about that you want us to look into, let us know. But yeah, so we'll talk to you guys next week. Peace.